The Colt single-action Frontier Scout in 22 long rifle was manufactured between 1957 and 1977, so it had a good 20-year run. I ran the serial number on mine, so it was manufactured somewhere around 1959 to 1960, somewhere in between, and it is in very, very good condition. These are not cheap guns, but it is a cheap shooter, as it is a 22 long rifle. And I think that's what the intended purpose was, so you could have the original Colt single-action feel in a pint-sized package. And back in the 50s, it was probably a relatively inexpensive gun, but not in these days, not in 2022. So yeah, upwards of $1,000, believe it or not. But as you guys can see, for the demo right now, she is not loaded. So I can show you some of the features of it. And it is, in fact, modeled after the original Colt single-action Army, which was originally in 4440, then they bumped up to 45 Colt, and then obviously when the other models came out, such as the Frontier Scout, you know, they were changing up the calibers and stuff, either to make it more affordable, or if other people just wanted different choosings in caliber, and that's fine. But this one in particular is very well built. It's a good shooter, really good shooter. You really got that Colt feel, like you know there's quality there. And this is before it started getting really chintzy. You guys know what I'm talking about. The new Pythons that came out a couple years ago, trash. But now that CZ's running the show, we'll see how it goes. Quality's right there, so we're hoping for the best. But anyway, this was when Colt was still manufactured here in the United States, and it is very, very close to the original, as you can see. Now, the only difference that you're going to find on this, beside the caliber of course, is going to be the hammer right there. It does not have a hammer mounted firing pin like the originals did, or a hammer tooth as I sometimes call it. But as you can see in there, it's got direct impact on the firing pin itself. It does not have a transfer bar like some of the new models that you're going to come across today. And no, it's not like a Heritage. It does not have a side safety on there. I think that's just unique to them, and thank goodness. I mean, I love Heritage, but this is a Colt. Yeah, they're not going to have that. Now, just like the original single-action Army, the Frontier Scout does feature fixed groove type sights and a fixed front sight on there. So you should be able to hit just fine, but if it does start going left and right, you're kind of SOL. Then you'll have to learn a little bit of Kentucky windage. But just like the originals, that's just how it is. It's super holster friendly because you don't have anything you're going to get caught up on as you normally would with adjustable sights. However, it does limit your visibility on this thing because those sights can be very small, and if you got older eyes, it might be a little bit more difficult. On top of it, you can't adjust them, so you know, you gotta kind of work with what you got. But other than that, they're very functional, and if you know how to use these sights properly, you should have no problem hitting what you're aiming at. Now, true to form as the original Colt single-action Army, it is obviously single action, and it does not have a swing out cylinder, so you're gonna have to put it on the half cock just like that, open up the loading gate, rotate the cylinder to an empty chamber, load your round in, you guys can see, move it to the next chamber, load the next round, so on and so forth until you reach 6. So it is good practice when you're dealing with a direct impact firing pin, if it was hammer mounted or if it's settled into the frame like this one is, to load it with 5 and let it rest on the empty 6th chamber. But here on the range, it's okay. I'm not carrying this thing around, so I'm not worried about it. But there is potential that you could drop it and the hammer will push into the firing pin and set off a round and cause a negligent discharge. I'm not worried about that today, but keep that in mind. Load 5, keep it on the empty 6th one if you're going to carry this thing in the woods or something. So today for ammunition, we're going to be using CCI standard velocity 1070 feet per second. These work out perfectly in this revolver, so you guys are going to see how well we do on the range today. So what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be shooting from the offhand at 5, 10, and 15 yards with 6-round groups into the target down there, and then I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to be shooting it off the bench rest. Obviously there's human error when it comes down to offhand shooting, but when you put it on the bench, it does eliminate a lot of that error. So we're going to see the practical shooting application and the real potential of this gun. So here we go at 5 yards with 6 shots. We're going to be going into the top right target. That's 6. And there you go for 6 relatively fast shots at 5 yards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the sixth one is in there. It went a little bit high. Aim point was right here, and they went a little bit high, and probably my shaky hands which opened them up like that, but that's what we're looking at.